Hello and welcome back to our main hall. I'm so thrilled and excited to be speaking to you today from our main hall because today and over the next few minutes I'm going to just begin to unpack and announce our plans to reopen our building for Sunday services. It's been a long time coming, hasn't it? But over the last couple of weeks, the government has given us the go-ahead to begin reopening as a place of worship, given a few provisos and a few things that we can and we can't do, a few measures that we've got to put in place. So I just want to take a few minutes just to begin to share the plan, what we're planning, what to expect, a few things that we all need to bear in mind. And this will be followed up tomorrow in a big email which lists loads and loads of different things in detail. So please just open up your ears and really just pay attention for the next few minutes as I begin to unpack what it means for us to relaunch as church in our building. Well, the first thing that I want to talk to you about is the plan. What is the plan for us to slowly begin reopening our building? Well, we're going to start simply and we're going to start small by reopening for one service on a Sunday each week. That's going to be in the morning at our normal time of 10:45 a.m. The first one of these services will be launched 2 weeks from now on July the 26th. So on Sunday the 26th of July, for the first time in many weeks, we'll be able to come into this space once again and have a Sunday service together. Now, this Sunday service is going to look quite different because we can't just go all back to normal. There are a few rules and restrictions that we have to abide by given the government guidance on us reopening our space and to keep everyone safe essentially. So it is going to look quite a bit different from what you're used to when we meet in this building. But God is going to continue to bless us, and we want to take the first steps in us being able to begin slowly gathering together in the same space to worship the Lord. That's the plan. So in keeping with those restrictions and in keeping with that government guidance that we all need to abide by when we do reopen as a church, I now just want to lay out a few key basics that I want us to all bear in mind and stick to whilst we're connecting together as church again. The first is very simple and very common sense. I'm sure we're all familiar with this, but it needs to be stressed. If you have coronavirus symptoms, any signs or symptoms whatsoever, please do not come to church. Instead, follow the government advice, which as of this day of this video is to self-isolate for 7 days and your household to self-isolate for 14 days. For up-to-date advice, you can go to gov.uk/coronavirus for what you need to do if you have symptoms. But if you do have symptoms, you can't come to church, so please stay at home. Secondly, whilst we're here at church, we still need to maintain social distancing. That means when we're in the car park and when we're here in the building, we need to make sure that we're keeping at least 1 meter plus from everyone who's not in our household, and wherever possible extending that to 2 meters. We need to keep socially isolated at all times whilst we're here together as church. Thirdly, as part of that, we must have no physical contact. I love giving people a hug and a handshake as I greet them into church. I love that so much, but sadly, it's just too risky right now, and so we can't allow it. Please make sure not to hug anyone or give a handshake to anybody. We can have no physical contact except with those people from your household who you've come with. Fourthly, we can have no raised voices. When we raise our voice, so when we sing, when we shout, when we give a loud amen in church, all of these things increases the distance that droplets from our mouth go into the air, and that increases the risk of infection quite dramatically. So according to the government guidance, currently we need to only have our voices always at the level so that normal conversation can be heard. So at this time that does mean that we can't sing, and it does mean that we can't shout or raise our voice in any way. So please make sure that you keep your voice down at all times so that normal conversation can always be heard. Finally, I want to talk about shielding and vulnerable persons. If you are shielding or are more vulnerable to the virus, we would advise that you follow all the guidance from the government and from the NHS, even if that means you choose not to come to church right now. We want to continue to love and support you, and we're going to continue putting the service online for you to enjoy at home or on CDs if you aren't online and you still want to connect with the service that way. And we want to love you and support you, but it's important most of all that you stay safe. And if coming to church poses too great a risk to your health, then please stay at home. Right, I now want to talk to you about what you need to do in order to come to church. And the first thing you need to do is to book in. Before you come to church on Sundays, you will now need to book into our service each week. This is so that we can reduce the seating capacity in the main hall down to a level that's safe and where we can properly maintain social distancing during the service. This booking system is going to work on a first come, first served basis, so make sure to book in early when the system goes live in order to get your seat. But after July the 26th, on the following weeks, what we're going to do is we're going to give priority to those who couldn't come on the previous week. And in doing so, we're going to try and enable as many people as possible to come as frequently as possible to church. And if there is a week where you're unable to come because we're at capacity or whatever other reason, we're still going to get the service online for you to watch and still be encouraged by. So whilst there is a bit of difficulty and we might not always be able to cater to everyone in the building, we will still aim to make sure that each week everybody who connects with us as a church gets an experience of church. In order to book into our service, you'll be able to do so in a number of different ways. Firstly, you'll be able to go to our website, rushtonfullgospel.org.uk, and there will be a link there to a form you can fill in and book into the next Sunday service that way. The same link will also be on our Facebook page where people have been going to get Sofa Church. Many of you will be on that page right now as you watch this go out on Sunday morning. Thirdly, you'll be able to email me at rushtonfullgospel@gmail.com and I will get you added to the booking list. And then lastly, if you give me a phone call, particularly if you're not particularly online, you'll be able to book into the service that way as well. When you arrive at church, we're going to ask that you queue by our main front door here. We're going to have socially distanced markings along the building in order to help maintain 2 meters distance and safe social distancing. And what we're going to ask people to do is to wait by the door until they're called in to the minor hall by a member of the welcome team. This is going to be the start point also of our one-way system in the building, and we're going to ask that people only enter the church by this door itself and that they don't exit by this door. This is the start of the one-way system, and so we only want people entering the building via this door. After you've been invited in from outside, you'll be led into here, the minor hall, where we're going to have 2 sanitization stations set up. Here you'll be able to sanitize your hands with hand sanitizer, and also there'll be available some face masks. We would recommend that everybody who can use a face mask does do so in order to further decrease the risk of infection. And so if you don't have a face mask of your own, there will be one for you to pick up and use during the service at these stations, and we recommend everybody to do so. Please wait by the stations when you're done and you've got your hands clean, because somebody at the double doors will let you in. That just enables us to help maintain social distancing even better as we lead you to your seats in the main hall. In the main hall, we're arranging the chairs to be in groups of 4, spaced 2 meters apart. When you're invited in by a member of the welcome team, please follow the one-way markings on the floor to the seats that they direct you to. We currently can't offer a choice of seats because we need to fill up the main hall in a certain way in order to maintain social distancing. During the service, we'd ask that people remain in their seats as much as possible. So please refrain from leaving the main hall whilst the service is ongoing in order to help us maintain that social distancing. We're going to aim to keep our service at about 30 to 40 minutes in length in order to help facilitate with this. For parents with children, we are sadly unable to run Planet Shakers separately from our main service right now. So please keep your children with you at all times whilst you're here at church. That said, we do want to enable children to have the best time possible whilst they're here at church too. So we're going to bring an element of Planet Shakers into our service each week as part of what we do here in the main hall. And we also want to provide activity packs for any families that come into the building with some colouring and a few activities for them to do during the service. So if you require one of those, please just ask the welcome team for one and they'll gladly get one to you. And finally, after the service is finished, please remain in your seats until either myself or somebody else from the front invites you to leave the building, either via the fire door on the left or via the fire door past the toilets on the right. At each of those fire doors, there's going to be a table where you can sanitize your hands again as you leave the building, and also a place where you can leave a physical offering should you want to give in that way. Sadly, we're unable to offer refreshments or an extended period of fellowship time after the service at the moment. But what we would suggest is that people from church consider how they can meet with others in order to gain that fellowship time. This could involve, say, a walk in the park, or perhaps meeting in somebody's garden for a cuppa and a catch-up. But in all of that, please make sure to observe all the government's guidance in meeting together so that we can properly socially distance. And you can find that guidance by going to www.gov.uk/coronavirus. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this brief glimpse into how church is going to look as we begin to come together and meet together physically once again on the 26th. Tomorrow I'm going to send out a big email update with a full written guide listing all the things that I've talked about today, plus some extra details, so please make sure to keep your eyes open for that and give that a good read to prepare yourself for coming back to church soon. I'm looking forward to seeing you all, but for now, back to the sofa.